We're back in the matter of State versus Ferlazzo. All parties are present. We do have a verdict. We'll mark this as court's Exhibit 3, and we'll bring in the jury.
He had gauges in his ears too. If you end up seeing any of his ears, you can tell that it's like a little bit more loose and darker color. We don't know what time or what day, but at some point he dismembered her and was plotting to bury each part different locations.
I understand the jury has reached a verdict. Is that correct?
We have, Your Honor.
And we could state it now. How do you find Mr. Ferlazzo on the count of first-degree murder, guilty or not guilty? Ms. Jantz, would you like us to poll?
I would, please.
And Mr. Zago, is that your verdict, guilty or not guilty? Ms. Henderson, guilty or not guilty?
They've had audio issues
Nault, guilty
and
or
we
not
can't hear
guilty?
them.
Ms. Francescani, guilty or not guilty?
We heard her,
Mr.
she said guilty.
Fredrickson, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
And Mr. Williams, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Ms. Major, guilty or not guilty? Mr. Wing, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Ms. Hammond, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Mr. Kareem, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
And Ms. Calvis, guilty or not guilty? So says the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your service. It's clear you were very thoughtful throughout the trial. Really appreciate how you were always on time, you were always listening, taking notes, and really studying the evidence as it was coming in. Really appreciate your time in this case. Thank you, and you're excused with the great thanks of the court.
All right.
Any requests by the state?
Judge, just obviously that Mr. Ferlazzo continue to be held without bail.
Judgment of guilt entered at this time.
Yes.
And like the opportunity to file post trial.
Yes, thank you, Judge.
I know what the time limits usually are, but I'd give you a bit more if that's what you want.
I do. In light of the holidays coming up, I'd like until January 15th.
Any objections?
No, Judge.
January 15th, any response from the state will give you 3 weeks to respond, if that's all right with you, and so and we'll set it in sometime in mid-February. So 3 weeks would be about February 3rd.
Just reminding the court of my medical schedule.
We will.
We can deal with it because there'll be a PSI and so forth.
All right. Anything further from the defense?
No.
Schedule a PSI in this matter?
Yes.
We'll schedule a pre-sentence investigation report, and we'll come back on any motions filed and then for sentence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am so glad. I couldn't see any other way. It had to be guilty. But, you know, sometimes the jury can go one way and you don't think they're going to. So I'm relieved it should have been this way. It's not surprising that he didn't have any emotions just now. The only times I saw him really get emotional, he did cry during the trial, was when his friend took the stand. He cried during that when the friend was giving testimony. Now, he always acted like he was upset and I just needed a minute and all of that. But I still think that he did a lot of delay tactics to try to come up with a good response and different things to add in that would make a difference to the jury. I have to believe the jury realized what he was doing too, because it was very obvious. You know, getting asked a question and then starting to drink water and just take your time. It was, yeah, I said it earlier, but it reminded me of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, because Amber Heard, during her deposition, was doing the same thing, because that's what her counsel said that she could do to delay it. And it was very frustrating. Yeah, polyamorous in the big house. Yeah, Beverly, I am so glad he is gone, put away. He did horrible things. And I was shocked when the defense said that they were going to use self-defense and not any like mental illness or something like that, because all the evidence pointed to the fact that this wasn't self-defense. And even he said in his story that he was trying to climb over Emily to get to his sleeping spot. And that's when she started to lift up and he thought she was pulling the gun from underneath the pillow. But we know that he had taken a pillow and put it on her head because she was laying down. He put it on her head and then shot her. So that isn't self-defense. That was calculated. Him texting her phone through the whole weekend knowing she was dead, calculated. And if you missed it, he ended up dropping his bus off at a friend's house, and he went home to her parents and said, oh, we got in a fight. She'll be Ubering home at some point. But the stepdad was like, no, this is wrong. And so he called in a missing person. Joseph ended up going to his friend's house, getting there around 11:30 at night to have him drive him to Rosie, the bus, so he could get it and begin to hide all the evidence and her body. And the police really was on top of it for this case. They got there 10 minutes before he got there, and they were able to seize it. And so everything was preserved, all the DNA, everything. So, good. Very good. Well, that means keep your calendars clear for mid-January, because I'm definitely going to watch and see the sentencing. And the judge may add his own commentary to it, which I love when judges do that. So hopefully he will. Yeah, she said mid-January, so it's away from all the holidays, and the judge agreed to it. All right. Well, it was a good live. I'm happy that that just worked out how it should have been. As always, I thank you for watching. All right, I hope everyone has a good rest of your day. This would probably be the last live that I do for today. So, thanks for watching.